There is growing fallout about President-elect Trump's picks for his top two jobs right now, and we are told this is just one of the many challenges ahead for the president-elect during his transition. So we want to go live to Joe St. George in Washington. Now, Joe, why are Trump's picks for Department of Defense and the FBI facing more scrutiny than others?
Well, some picks, as you noted, are relatively traditional picks, right? A hedge fund manager for Secretary of the Treasury, that's a common pick. A senator who currently sits on the Foreign Relations Committee, Intel Committee, Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, that's very much a traditional pick. Some folks are going to sail through the confirmation process. But then you have others, like Pete Hegseth to lead the Department of Defense. Yes, he's a veteran, former Fox News host, but it's his past record and conduct in his past that's really getting the most scrutiny. There's allegations of alcohol abuse associated with organizations that he was previously a part of, previously ran. There's sexual misconduct allegations as well. He's denied all this wrongdoing. It doesn't appear to be disqualifying for Republicans in the Senate at the present time. But remember, this is still a ways away from a confirmation hearing time and from ultimately confirmation votes. And sometimes when you're facing controversy, it can snowball. Like you start with a little snowball to roll to make a snowman, it gets bigger and bigger if more allegations are out there. Another controversial pick, Kash Patel to lead the FBI. He certainly has a resume that could, in national security, whether it was his past time at the Department of Defense or with the Director of National Intelligence in that office, but he is not a former FBI agent. It's a traditional post that many former special agents ultimately get. And he is someone who previously in many podcasts have called for the disbanding of the FBI, shutting down the FBI. He is someone who has called for drastic reform, and there may be some in the United States Senate who are less inclined to endorse such a radical reform. But that being said, from here on Capitol Hill and my perch, what I'm seeing is that we're not necessarily seeing so much outcrying of rejection or surprise from Republicans in the Senate to suggest that these picks can't ultimately get through. We saw that with Matt Gaetz when he was initially picked for Attorney General, but that he ultimately withdrew. We're not quite seeing the level of Gaetz concern that we are seeing with these picks to lead the FBI and the Department of Defense. So many people in southern Colorado will keep an eye on the Department of Defense pick simply because the military connections in Colorado Springs and southern Colorado.
Yeah, it'd be a big change. Thank you, Joe. But another big topic is the president-elect's plan to impose the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Will those have an impact on gas prices?
Potentially. Right now, gas prices are pretty good. If you drive up and down the Front Range, I was in Colorado over the Thanksgiving holiday. I saw gas prices below $3 a gallon in many stations. In fact, GasBuddy, which tracks all of this nationally, reported yesterday for the first time since 2021, the national average dipped below $3 a gallon. Of course, it varies from state to state and region by region, but right now gas prices are low in part because of low crude oil, high domestic energy production. People tend to travel less this time of year as well. But we're going to be covering the T word a lot between now and Inauguration Day. And I'm not talking Trump, I'm talking tariffs proposed by Trump. A 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico would, yes, include crude oil that gets imported and ultimately makes its way to your local gas station. The United States imports a lot of Canadian crude oil, for instance. The good news for Colorado, less reliant on Canadian crude oil than, let's say, Michigan or Minnesota, but it certainly has the potential to impact the entire economy in our country. Lots to watch for as we prepare for the second administration of Donald J. Trump.
All right, thanks, Joe St. George, live for us this morning. But